Good evening, folks. A little helper tonight to help us do our Wendy on Wednesdays. This is Dimitri, our latest addition to the Dogs of Pride clan, and he is a Sealyham Terrier. He was being a bit sooky because I was out most of the afternoon, so he decided he wanted up on my knee and wouldn't take no for an answer. So I am wrapped around his little dewclaw, and of course he is now on my knee having a snuggle. We're going to get going here and talk about de-shedding, because spring is just around the corner, hopefully. And certain parts of the country or wherever you are in the world, you may be already experiencing some coat coming out and lying around your floor in little dust bunnies or whatever floating around. So de-shedding is definitely something that dogs do. And even though we've got Mr. Dimitri here, who is actually considered a bit of a non-shedder or hypoallergenic, basically the growth cycle of any hair on any mammal is it only got a certain lifespan. When that lifespan is over, the hair comes out. Now on these non-shedding, very popular poodle mixes that are floating around all over the place and are basically being sold as being non-shedding, it's a bit of a misnomer really. The hair does still come out whenever that growth cycle is complete. The only thing is it doesn't end up on your floor for the most part. But what that means is that you need to do a lot more grooming to maintain the coat and keep it mat free, so you don't end up shaved down like a sheep and then blaming the groomer for making your dog bald because you didn't brush at home because you weren't actually educated on how to do so. So there are lots of dematting products out there as well. Our favourite, of course, is the H2O mist. We will do another little Wednesday on dematting products because there is another one that is just out of stock at the minute and it's being reformulated. It's the Pure Paws dematting spray. And we will go into those at a bit more length. But Dimitri is staring at the products, giving me the urge not to waffle on for too long and get to it. So basically, de-shedding. There are products that will help the hair to release. And how they work more than anything else is that basically they have a little bit of dimethicone or silicone in it. Don't be scared of silicones. It's not the nasty ones that used to get in breast implants in the 80s that then are really nasty and leach all over the body. But these are more a water-based ones that are in the products that we sell. There are still, of course, lots of different products on the market. Lots have oil-based silicones in them, which do tend to stick to each other, create a build-up, create breakage, and are really, really defeating the purpose of what you're actually trying to maintain a coat for. So the slip that's given with these products, basically it helps, there's lots of different amino acids, still proteins in these, and in this particular one, the first one we're going to look at from ShowSeason, the AminoFlex, has got sunflower triglycerides in it as well. And to make it even more poignant, there's now a big circle on the front that says de-sheds. So you know, because you're looking going, I don't know what to buy. Well, they're actually targeting some more of their products and actually saying what they're actually good for or specific purposes. The AminoFlex is known as a 2-in-1 as well, which is easier for the pet parent to actually use these at home because there's a little less work involved. Plus you have a bottle that will do a lot more than just one thing, where we have more specialized ones with the Pure Paws perhaps, where we'll have 2 or 3 different products in succession. But even with a 2-in-1 shampoo, you're not going to get a whole lot of conditioning ingredients left in the coat because a shampoo is designed to be washed out. So you're going to wash a lot of that out and rinse it down the drain as well. Oh, Lizzie's shaking in the background. So the AminoFlex is very handy for the de-shedding and releasing a lot of that dead hair, because what they tend to do is basically the little bit of slip that goes onto the hair that's still growing and still firmly rooted in the dog's skin is not going to release easily, but anything that's caught up in that, a little bit of silicone coating those good hairs just gives that slip to help to those dead hairs to release. And somebody's wanting to get up to no good hair. I'm going to sit this boy down because he's a ton weight. For all the size of him, he's a heavy wee man. Excuse me 1 second, folks. I will be right back. after this noise. There we go. So that's the Amino Flix. That's the Show Season 1, and yes, it's available in gallons as usual, and it has a dilution rate on it too. What have we got on this one? Dilutes 10:1, so that's actually quite good because that's on par with our Pure Paws ones. So we talked a little bit about SLS, SLE, well no we didn't, but we did a bit about the SLS and about the SLS free. So our favourite product from the Pure Paws line for de-shedding is our Shed Ease. Again, aptly named so you know what the product actually does. So it's taking a lot of the guesswork out of these things for you. This is a fantastic product. The cleanability of it as well is very, very good. It cuts the mustard and gets through, and actually how we suggest to use both of these products is whenever the coat is wet and all lathered up, get your brush and start working through that coat. There are an older video on our Facebook page. You'll probably be able to find it about line brushing and line combing. Highly recommended. But if you do this in the bath as well, the extra water, the extra slip, and the fact that the coat's wet so you're not going to cause the breakage as much, if you're gently going through that and allowing the product in the coat to give you the slip, you're going to actually bring out a lot more dead coat than normal. Because if you're doing this at home, you don't have the professional equipment that a groomer has, in so much you don't have a force dryer to really blast that coat out, or you don't have a lot of different types of tools and specialized equipment. So you need to be able to know what's going to work well, and what's going to give you the best bang for your buck. So if you're grabbing products like this, you do need a slicker brush. We also have the other ones with the little ball tips on the top, which are a lot softer on the dog's skin, because of course whenever they're wet in the bathtub, they're going to be irritated a lot easier and be scratchy. And whenever you're actually purchasing a brush, if it's not from us, if it's from a store, if you can, go on the inside of your forearm, because that's your thinner layers of skin, closer to what you'd find on a dog, because a dog only has 1/3 of the thickness of skin that we do. So picking up a brush and doing it on the back of your hand is absolutely going to tell you nothing in relation to how your dog's feeling that brush. So once you do it on the inside of your forearm, and actually do it on both, so you feel the difference as well. And that helps you to understand how light of a pressure you also need. These are designed to do the work. The brute force and ignorance isn't going to do the work for you. It's going to hurt the dog. And if a dog doesn't like being brushed, it's probably what you're doing is using too much pressure with a very, very, very stiff bristle brush. So if you did that in the tub, get all that through, rinse it out. A lot of people will continue to just carry on, but we always suggest to condition the coat, because a conditioner is the same as doing it on your own hair. If you have any, lots of men out there don't, sorry, or it's a choice, but they won't be used to conditioning coats. When it's your dog, you need to condition the coat. Basically what that's doing is actually helping to seal that skin, add in extra moisture, and help that you've just stripped out with the bathing process. And what it's also going to do is then seal the cuticle. So instead of a hair with all the cuticle open and it being like this, which makes it matte together, a conditioner will seal that hair shaft so it's nice and smooth and shiny. Now, the Forte conditioner I have in particular picked up here from Pure Paws, the reason being is because it has a keratin base. It's a very good keratin base to it. And a very light rinse of this will not only seal that hair shaft and protect it, but it's actually going to help close up the hair follicles. What does that mean? It means less hair is going to fall out. So you're actually going to help to reduce shedding going on further. So for groomers as well, this is a very handy finishing rinse to use, or to mix up to use whenever you're doing a de-shedding treatment. It's going to work far superior to anything else you've got out there, I can guarantee you that. And only because we've tested so many different products in the market before we decide what we actually use and what we like. And I know there's 10 million different new ones on the market now as well, but I am still to be surprised or basically looking at anything to replace our Pure Paws line, because it is definitely one of the top performers and with the nicest ingredients out there, and of course paraben free. No phthalates, no nasty chemicals or toxins in there as well. So a Forte rinse, Forte conditioner as your rinse, And you can either use your Sheddy shampoo as your shampoo or your Amino Flex if you want to. So you've got a combination of a couple of different ones. It was very easy. Everybody thinks de-shedding is a difficult thing. The most important thing to have are your tools. And we have a few different ones. Now, sorry, somebody's rustling around in his basket now. That's what the crunchy noise is if you're getting one behind. But we have got all of these which are known as de-shedding tools. We do have the original and traditional Mars Coat King, which was the first tried and tested, and of course there's a million different copies out there now. Lots of different brand names have their own, but basically the only difference between this and these, apart from price and the fact that this is a plasticky handle as opposed to wooden, is very, very little. They still have the curved teeth at the top, and basically what you have to be very, very careful with, we've got all different sizes, different things for different types of coats, different thicknesses of coats, different sizes of dogs. So there's lots to choose from to pick your actual needs. There's coarser and finer, so you're going to get a lot more hair out obviously with a finely spaced one as opposed to a coarse wide spaced one. So you can actually start with something like that so you don't do as much damage as you would with a fine one, because you do one rip of that and pull out a whole load of coat you might not have wanted to. The most important thing about all of these is be very, very careful, because inside of these hooks, all of these are actually blades. You can see how those are sharpened the whole way along. So if you catch a dog's skin on that, or a little crease in around the knee or around the back at the stifle or front or at the tuck up, and you catch that in there, that's going to rip it open. Be very, very careful. So don't go hell for leather on your dog with one of these things. What I always suggest is to get a rock or get something and just dull those out. And everybody's going, well, what's the point of that then? Well, the point is it's that somebody in their infinite wisdom designed and made these things and sharpened these all to hell and back, but have probably never groomed a dog in their life. So whenever you're looking at doing professional grooming for a living, you work out how to work these things better and more effectively for you. So what I always sent my students was to go out and dull those with a rock and actually just grind it across it, grind it across it, grind it across it. And you'll say again, "Aye, but Wendy, I want to pull coat out." Well, you will. The difference is that you will pull out dead coat with a blunt one of these rather than cutting good, healthy growing hair with a very, very sharp, brand new out of the packet one. And what that means is if you cut a growing hair and you slice through it with one of these, the end of it will fray. What's going to happen with frayed coat on frayed coat? It grabs together, and what have you got? Mats! The thing you don't want. So very gentle pressure again, just go in the direction of the coat and just follow along, just very, very lightly around the neck or whatever on the Goldens, or down around the chest area. If you want to thin that out a little bit, it will also do that, but light pressure, the less is more scenario works very well for all of your professional grooming tools. So you can do that to get a lot of bulk out as well whenever you're helping de-shed and help to release some coat. As I say, the line brushing in the bath with the brush, line brushing, and then what you can even do with your conditioner in there, if your dog likes the tub, if you're at a comfortable position, if you're not in a very busy grooming shop with 10 groomers waiting to get in the tub behind you, then basically you can take the time and actually line comb through when your conditioner is in the coat. The amount of hair that's going to release if you're doing your brushing and your combing while the dog is wet and in the tub is going to save so much time drying. It's also going to save your lungs, because you're not now using, if you are using a force dryer or even a hair dryer on a cool setting, then basically you're not going to have to breathe in all that dander and all that dead hair that you're going to basically just make explode into the room. I mean, you see these videos of people blowing out husky coats and stuff up the wrong way, and they're just in a big dust cloud, and none of those people, well, some of the people are, I won't say none of them are, but you'll see them without any breathing protection. So they're breathing all of that stuff in, and there is a condition called groomer's lung. So it is actually a health hazard. Wear a mask if you're doing that, groomers, please. And at home, as I say, if you learn the techniques of doing your line brushing with the shampoo, your line combing with your conditioner, it's going to be much, much easier, most of your dead coat is going to be removed in the tub. You can collect that when it's wet. It's much easier to do cleanup afterwards, and it'll save you an awful lot of heartache. And your combs, a lot of them you'll find you've got your coarse side and your narrow side. Always use your narrow side. Your coarse side is really only to hold it. If you can't get through your dog's coat with a finer side comb like this, then basically you have mats. And if you're going to the groomer and going, oh, I was able to comb it, and your comb is like 3 times wider than that, chances are your dog is going to get clipped. So dematting is just painful for the dog and very laborious for the groomer and very, very time consuming. It's hair, it'll grow back, go a bit shorter, or learn to maintain your dog's coat in between your grooming appointments, and then you won't have to basically be mad at your groomer for shaving your dog and making them bald, especially because it's still cold outside and it's supposed to be -22 with a wind chill here tonight. So yes, all of your combs, no matter what, very, very seldom ever use the long end. I was never even taught that was acceptable to be used, excuse me, but it's always your fine tooths and any depth of teeth as well. We have them all available. Dogs of Pride on dogsofpride.com, online on our store. And I think that was nice and short for you tonight. So we'll wrap it up. As always, I'm here if you have questions. We love seeing you all in the store. We love hearing your comments. We love getting your messages. Keep it up, folks, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again for watching. All the best. Bye.